We're looking for anything that has to do with election fraud. We came to hear Dinesh and the new movie 2000 Mules, how to avoid this going forward. My recommendation to your whole audience is everybody needs to take off some time in November. Let's get to every ballot location with video and start videotaping this so it doesn't happen again.
Okay, what about you?
And I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where obviously they had 1,100 mules. I just wanted to ask Dinesh, what is it that we could do differently for the next election? And obviously, you know, it's really nice to be around a lot of other patriots.
So here's my question on that. When I hear people talk about this, I want to give it the time of day, but then you look at every official medium that you would make, prove that, the courts, all those things.
Well,
and it's not, it's not like there's not even people that Trump appointed. So that's my favorite part, where they're talking about how it was all stolen, and I'm saying, but no place where you would prove that was it proven. And her response is, well, the courts are all corrupt. But what about the judges that were appointed by Trump? And instead of saying they're still corrupt, which just assert that. If you're gonna lie, just keep lying. Whatever. She just goes, I don't know. It just turns to the guy that she's with.
MAGA Republicans love to claim that they are so very concerned with the legitimacy of voting and uncovering election fraud, but they have no issue with this being a method of voting in the Republican primaries.
This is the voting method. They are putting votes into a brown paper bag and passing it around. Just stuff it in there, keep it moving. Don't like grocery bags? Maybe prefer popcorn buckets.
DeSantis, Haley, Trump.
That's it. And if that's not enough transparency for you, try this gathering, where they walk the aisles to grab ballots and then stuff fistfuls of votes into clear Ziploc bags. Can't get more transparent than plastic bags.
And of course, there is bigotry driving that hypocrisy.
But our friend Elie Mystal makes an interesting observation. He posts, "This is what voting looks like when white people know only white people will be allowed to cast ballots. Just grab them and count them. Just stuff them in. There you go, pass it on." Watching this as the means of counting the votes and ballot security in the internal world of Republican politics is really mind-blowing when you think for a second about the context here, right? I mean, 2/3 of caucus goers believe that Joe Biden is not the legitimately elected president. 4 years of the big lie and the constant, disgustingly racist drumbeat about Democrats stealing the election. Remember after the 2020 vote in Detroit, when pro-Trump influencers passed around viral video of a wagon supposedly containing extra ballots being brought into the tabulation room. It was actually a news photographer carting his equipment in. But that didn't stop a white MAGA mob from pounding the glass and trying to force their way in and chanting, "Stop the count."
I'm Rayy Vana, and welcome back to Rebel HQ. I'd like to remind everybody that to this day, neither Donald Trump nor the Republican Party has been able to offer up a shred of credible evidence that there was wide-scale voter fraud that helped Joe Biden win the election in 2020. They've had 4 years to come up with a single piece of evidence and have failed to do that. Probably because there was no wide-scale voter fraud that stole the election from Donald Trump. The fact of the matter is he lost the 2020 election, but that is a fact that neither he nor his supporters want to accept. And as you heard in that first clip, even judges appointed by Trump who were overseeing his election cases shot them down because there was simply no evidence, which kind of dismantles the entire worldview that Republicans have been preaching for the past 4 years, which is that it is Democrat-run corruption that is preventing Donald Trump's cases from being heard because the evidence, or more accurately lack thereof, was presented to judges that Trump himself appointed. To be consistent in their arguments, they would then have to say that Trump appointed corrupt judges, which is something I don't think they're going to argue. And some of the election workers who were carrying out their duties in November of 2020 were slandered by Republicans as helping steal the election, including 2 election workers in Georgia who sued Rudy Giuliani for defamation and won easily because, once again, Rudy Giuliani couldn't present a shred of credible evidence that these women stole the election or that the election was stolen at all. So that left America's mayor with a bill for $150 million to be paid out to these 2 women whose lives he ruined with his lies. Now, you've probably also heard these MAGA election deniers mention this.
We came to hear Dinesh in the new movie 2000 Mules.
The name he mentioned was Dinesh, referring to Dinesh D'Souza, creator of the documentary 2000 Mules, which claims that it has found rock-solid evidence that the 2020 election was stolen. Now, this film has been debunked countless times because it is filled to the brim with misinformation and outright lies. Which shouldn't surprise anybody considering its creator, Dinesh D'Souza, was found guilty of election fraud. That is the person that MAGA has decided to trust to bring them their election-related news. But unfortunately, MAGA Republicans really do believe that the election was stolen in 2020, and that's going to motivate them to come out to the polls in November of this year and vote for Donald Trump in record numbers, which is why it's necessary for all of us to do our part and ensure that Donald Trump doesn't become president again.